Hello and welcome down onto the tech desk, and in today's video we're going to be looking at these. These are the new JoyCons from NYXI for the Nintendo Switch. They're called the Hyperion, or I guess Hyperion rather than Hyperion. So Hyperion JoyCons for the wireless controllers for the NS, the Lite and the OLED. I've got my OLED here today. Obviously works with the original Switch, and it also works with the Lite, but I won't be touching upon the Lite. But needless to say, if you want to connect them to the Lite, you can do, because they're just regular off the Switch Bluetooth controllers. And also I've got my regular Joy-Cons for the OLED, and I've got my Athena Milk ones as well. So these are the ones that are my daily drivers. If I'm not using my Skull & Co grip, I'm using these. These I did an original review on. I'll leave links down below where you can go and have a look at that. These are incredible, and I've used these virtually every day since I got them, and NYXI sent me these to compare to them. So what I'll be doing is I'll be going through these just to show you what this is about, then I'll be comparing it to these, because there's a few subtle changes between the two. So let's talk about what you get in the box then. You get yourself an instruction manual, so nice big talking about all the different languages that tell you how to work everything, feature, brilliant. You get yourself a 1 meter USB Type-C cable, which I've already got one plugged in, so I don't really need use of that. And then we have this, which is the centerpiece for the Joy-Cons, which I'll talk about that later on in the video. Okay, so here are the Joy-Cons, and if I go over them, we'll start off with the left one, and then we'll go to the right, and then we'll talk about it on the Switch. So here's the Joy-Con itself. It only comes in black at the moment. If you want another colour, I guess maybe another colour's all coming, I don't know, but you can get it in black. And as you'll see that it's got this wider form, so when you have it in your hand, it's so comfortable. It's why I love these Joy-Cons, it's because they are so comfortable. My kids have these as well, so it's not just exclusively for adult hand. I never really had a problem with the size of these, but this just takes it to the next level. It's so comfy. We have a minus button there, we have the joystick, and then we have an RGB strip, D-pad, T, screenshot, flip it over. We have what they call ML, and then we have an M button, and then we have with zigzaggy lines, and that's the vibrating function on there. So if I split the Joy-Con up, so kind of like the front and the back, the front is nice and smooth, as you can see. That's kind of like a matte colour as well, but it's nice and smooth. And then if you flip it over, this whole rear piece here is grooved, so it's nice and grippy. It feels fantastic in the hand. And then on the top we have the L and ZL on there. So let's talk about these then. So these is digital, just clicking it in. There's a little bit of feedback on there, and there's a little bit more feedback on the L button there, so it's nice and clicky. I don't know if you can hear that. So that kind of clicks, and that doesn't click as much, but I've never really had a problem with them. And again, we'll compare it to these later. The minus button, that's nice and clicky. The joystick, which we'll talk about, we'll go through the feel of it and the dead zones and the stuff in a bit, but this feels great. I've had no problems with these. The T button down the bottom there, that's for the colours, and I'll talk about that in a second. And the screenshot there. This is all identical, so SR and SL, they're all fine. And then spinning over, we have the nice, so this bit here, this is the one where how to take it off the Joy-Con. This is nice and long. Okay, don't know if you're ever like me, you've used third-party Joy-Cons where this is kind of tiny. It's not, it's nice and long, so it's really easy to get that and to pull it off, so really nice. And then the M button and the vibrate button, they're kind of sunk in a little bit, but the M sticks out a little bit more just so you can feel it when like without having to look at it. And then the ML here, and that is beautifully placed. Okay, so it rubs around again. Again, I will be comparing it to these ones later, so watch out for that, because this one is beautifully placed for your finger. Look at that. So that's where your finger goes down onto that button there. Okay, so let's go back over onto the front here, because I wanted to talk about the D-pad. This is the one thing that's worth talking about. So D-pads, I understand, is a completely personal preference. I get that. However, this D-pad is brilliant. I love it. Okay. It has a lovely feedback. There's a definite click to it. Okay, so either know, and I'll have to do this in a bit of a close-up on the B-roll, but when you look here, when you click it, the rest of the D-pad hardly goes down. Okay, and again, I will compare it to these later, but when you do this one, it just goes. I just think this is a lovely D-pad, and you just know when you're pressing up down. There's no mush to it. Really, really nice. Okay, and then we'll talk about the functions on the RGB on that in a bit once I've gone over the right one. So let's pull the right one off. This is pretty much the same as this. These buttons here, X, A, Y and B, they do sit quite high off the Joy-Con. That's quite nice, so you can always tell where it is. And then when you press it down, there's still a couple of millimeters give once you've pressed it down. And then you have the plus, you have the RGB light down there, you have the joystick there, home and T, again T with the colours, and I'll talk about that later. SO and SO as the same triggers that we've just talked about, same pulling off mechanism, same M, same vibrate, and same button on here, so it fits nicely with your hand. And then the grooving in here, so it's all nice and grippy. So all in all, overall, really nice experience. And then finally, if you want to spin it onto the bottom, you have your two USB Type-C ports that you can charge them individually, and I'll show you that in a second. And you might notice these flat bits here. That's not many people talk about these when they get these Joy-Cons, but it's a brilliant feature. That basically means that you can have it stood up on your desk. Well, can't be individually because they don't stand up individually, but when we'll put it on the Switch. So let's put it on the Switch then. And the first one we're going to do is, will it wake up the Switch? So if I hold down home, you'll see, yes, it does. Okay, really quickly wakes up the Switch. Let's just get that on. And then what we can do now is, once it's on, is you can pop it off because it works without being on the Switch. Okay, so okay, I'm going to look at the RGB now. So there's a T button here. What you need to do is you need to hold down that T and then click that, and you think nothing happens. What you have to do is you have to let go of this for it to work. So you have to for it to register. It's a bit of a pain. It would have been nice if it had just been worked on each click, but it doesn't. So you kind of have to do that to change the colours. So the colours are around the ring of the joystick and then down there. So if I do that, so we've got purple, orange, kind of white, rainbow colour, red, yellow, blue, green, and then back to purple. And then all you can do is hold down the T, double tap it, and it will breathe the colours, then double tap it again, and then let go, and it will breathe the rainbow. Exactly the same as process for the colours on there as it is on there, but you have to do them separately. Okay, so once you've made a change on here, it won't be reflected on here. You have to kind of do the same thing. Okay, so you have to hold down the T, double tap it, and then double tap it, and then you've got the same going at the same time. Okay, so they're not paired up. The RGB isn't paired up. So now we've got it onto the Switch. As we said, we'll wake it up again just to show you, nice and quick. What we'll do is we'll just go down to the controllers, because I know people like to see the kind of like me using the dead zones and stuff. So if we go to settings, down to controller sensors, and then calibrate control stick. So if I do the left stick, okay, I'm not going to expect any sort of drift because these are only a few weeks. I've been using it for a few weeks, so I wouldn't expect anything. As you can see, nothing there. And if we go spin that all the way around, look at that, no stopping, no starting there. Okay, and then if I come back out and I do the right stick, okay, and then once we've done that, also I want to talk to you about the triggers on here. So you can assign these to any face button you like. The way you're going to do that is you're going to hold down M, then that button, so the M is that top one up there. Then you're going to hold down that button, and then you're going to press the button. So let's hold down M, hold down the trigger as well, and press A. So now if I press the back one, there we go, we've got it as A. So if I just quickly come out of that, just to show you. Test controller buttons, I'm going to be pressing A, which is the back on the trigger over here. There we go. Okay, really easy, and then you can just map it. And again, they are individually, so you need to remap that one the same as well as doing that one. Then finally, what we're going to do on this one is this other button here, this vibrating one here. This controls the vibration pattern, so you can have it on 4 different settings. So off, low, medium, high, very high, and then off. Okay, so off, low, medium, high, very high, and then off. I'll be honest with you, I don't really use this function much because I've got no use for it, because you have to do them individually on those. So I just set it to kind of like low. There we go. One click after off. I leave it on that. It's not HD rumble. Not many things are HD rumble from third parties, but the rumble's good enough to feel it. it's a kind of like it feels like a soft rumble, so it's not too bad. But I'll be honest with you, I've never really been a fan of rumble. I'm not really that bothered. But if rumble is important to you, it's okay. It's not HD rumble, but it's okay. So let's talk about charging them up. So when you want to charge them up, you plug them in and it starts flashing. So we're on 4 there, so we know they're pretty much almost charged up. If I plug these ones in, yeah, they're charging up as well as they're flashing, and that stops flashing when it's charging. If I put them onto my switch, and then we fire up the switch, go here, JoyCons. Okay, so there we go. So we've got the JoyCons up here. We've got them 2 attached. If I plug in the left one, you'll see that the left one has started charging. And then similarly, if I plug in the right one, you'll see that the right one's charging. But you don't need to do that. If you just want to charge up your switch, plug it into the switch, and then it charges all 3 up. Okay. It says it takes 2.5 hours, 3.5 hours to charge these up. Yeah, that's about right. I really just charge my switch up with these on, and it charges up. I've not done any scientific testing, to be honest, with charging them up, but I've never run out of battery. And then also look at this, because it comes with this. So we're in player 1 there. So we got the 1 LED there. If I slot that in, it kind of shows up that it's the LED 1, and then similarly with this one, LED 1. And this is a brilliant size for a controller. If you need a Bluetooth controller for this, I think this is great, because all the mapping works when it's off the switch. Really, really nice. So if you're using this on your dock, I think it's got about a 10-meter range, which is perfect, I'd say, for most people. And you've got this on your dock in there, and you're sat on your sofa. Using these ones is a bit, it's not great. It's okay, but it's not great. With these, you've got no issues of using these. Gyro works as you'd expect, and rumble works. It's got all the features. Like I say, it doesn't have HD rumble. So what I'm going to do now, I think it's of use, is if I compare it to these, the Athena milk ones, the white ones that I've had for ages. Because I can talk about this a lot more if I compare it to these. So I've been using these for months and months and months, and they've been brilliant. I've had no dead zones. I've had no drift, no nothing. I think they're brilliant. The buttons work fantastic. It all works superb. And I'm assuming this is going to be the same after the month's worth of use as well. So hopefully, because the joysticks feel great, and I was saying it's a really good D-pad. So if we quickly whip one of these off, just turn this off just so it doesn't ping off. And we compare it to these two. So these ones are good, but the D-pad, let's talk about the D-pad first, because it was quite mushy and it is okay. I never really had a problem with the D-pad, but this is just far better. I just love this D-pad on here. So much better than this one. If we spin it over, the other big difference here is the angle of the trigger. Again, I never really had a problem with this. It was okay, nice, but this one, it just feels more comfortable. It's just nicely on your finger there. So you can see tell the difference between, they've kind of rotated it round to fit the ergonomics of your finger. Then we've got the M and T button on there. So if you are looking to change the colours of this one, you could do it one-handed. You can't change the colours one-handed on this. It's very difficult. You have to press T and then you have to press this. You kind of have to do like a claw grip. Is that important to you? I don't know. I don't think I was that bothered about changing the colours one-handed, but it's a difference anyway. And then another difference I found was it's slightly bigger. So this one, the Hyperion, is slightly bigger here. Okay, it sticks out a little bit more. Can you see it being more kind of pointy there than this one? This is much more round. Okay, only by about, I think it measured about 2.5 millimeters wider. Okay, not by much at all, but it's a little bit wider. You're not going to notice the difference in real terms when you're holding it. The thumbsticks feel exactly the same. I mean, I can't tell a difference at all. They feel identical, so I'm assuming this one is going to be just as good quality as these ones. And the buttons here, this one is kind of domed and these ones are flat. Nothing really that much important. And then again, we've got the T button on here instead of around the back, because you can't adjust the vibrating on this one in the same way as these ones. So you have the screenshot button domed there and the T button domed, and the screenshot button there is just square. Everything else is almost identical. Oh no, sorry, one thing as well is the triggers as well. It's angled a little bit. Again, they feel almost identical. This one's got a little bit more feedback than this one, but when you're playing it with the shape of it, you're not going to be able to tell the difference really. It's a little bit wider down there, so can you see? So it's a few millimeters longer than that one. But again, in real terms, when you're playing in the midst of a game, I don't think you're going to be able to tell much difference. And then if we spin over to the right one, again, sticks are exactly the same. Just the buttons are different there. The dome and the flat, nothing exciting there. The placement of the triggers there and the buttons around the back there. Again, I don't think there's much difference. You won't be able to tell much difference. The only kind of real big difference is going to be the RGB strip around there, the size and the buttons, everything. If you haven't got these and you want to look at getting some NYXI Joy-Cons, you're going to get these ones, because I just think this quality of life upgrade for this D-pad here and the feel of this trigger here, of this paddle, I just think are worth it. These are my favourite Joy-Cons, and the fact that I've been using these for months and months and months and I've never had an issue with them, I think this is just upped it a little bit with the paddles and the D-pad. I think these are going to be well worth it. So what I'll do is I'll leave links down below in the description. I'm going to contact NYXI now and see if I can get a discount code for you. If I can, I'll leave one in the description, so hopefully you'll be able to get some money off these. So if you've got any questions for me, let me know down in the comments below. I'll happily answer them for you. These have been my daily drivers and they've been brilliant so far, so I'm assuming these are going to be the same after the months, but the few weeks I've had them, I just think they are absolutely phenomenal. There's such an upgrade on the regular Joy-Cons. I can't see why you wouldn't be getting a pair of these over some official Joy-Cons, because these are cheaper than the official Joy-Cons and they're so much more comfortable and they have the paddles. Okay then, if you've got any questions, like I say, if you've got any questions, let me know down in the comments below. And that's it then for my look at the Hyperion Joy-Cons from NYXI. Go and have a look down the links below for where to get hold of these. And until the next video, bye-bye.